2011 Ford Fusion we bought used from an elderly couple, and it had been crashed and banged up, and they probably did the best they could with it. But we got this thing, we fixed it. I've reattached the front bumper, I fixed the dent here in the rear bumper, and we've repaired the both mirrors that were knocked off of it, and we're basically turning it into a new car. This video here is about installing the infotainment center in the thing, which we are real proud of. So this is Ella's car now. I've reattached the front bumper. You can see we've added these new hubcaps, and we've fixed the mirrors on both sides, and I've also steam vac the interior, and she's added that steering wheel cover, and of course we got the infotainment center that this video is about, the installation of this. I've reattached the front bumper, it's still scuffed there, and of course we've fixed the mirrors. We've added these new mirrors on, so Ella's little car is actually pretty nice. I mean, it's got electric power windows and doors. It's a lot nicer than my first car was. But this video is installing the infotainment center. This is the de-shitboxification of Ella's vehicle. This is an infotainment center that I ordered off Amazon that's going to replace her stock stereo. And this basically gives her 2011 car modern capabilities with a touchscreen interface, Apple Play, Google Play, etc. That's pretty cool. And the HVAC controls and everything will be right here. So this basically replaces the old stereo system. Now along with that comes all these components, and apparently this is the wiring harness that I'll have to use here to match the Fusion. Comes with a microphone for hands-free phone, but there is already a microphone built in right here on the system, so I may not use that microphone. I don't know. I don't know what that is, and that looks like aftermarket stuff. And this may be the camera. Yep, there's the backup camera. So her car doesn't have a backup camera, but it's about to. So I'm going to try and film this. There is one video on the internet that I've watched, but the guy was hard to understand, so, and I'm going to do some things differently than he did, but at any rate, here we go. So this is the Ella-mobile 2011 Ford Fusion. I'm going to put this camera in the back seat. We're, we bought this car from an older couple, and the car had been wrecked a bunch of times, and they obviously haven't taken care of the interior or the exterior. And we've replaced a bunch of things on it, and now we're going to replace the infotainment center right here with what I just showed you, what I unboxed. I'm going to put the camera in the back seat over here and hopefully bring you all along for the ride. It'll be a nice car when we're done. First thing you got to do is open up this glove box compartment, and I know there's this rubber mat that comes out of the glove box compartment, and these should be, this is an 8. Yeah, how about 8? Guy in the video was wrong. Those are 8s for sure. Thought I had all my tools laid out. Sorry about that. It's going to be a 8. Sayonara, sweet prince. Good night, good night, good night. And then that should be able to lift out. Might have to use the trim tool. Yep, there it goes. Alright. Now, I shouldn't have to take this all the way out, but we've got these bolts here and here, and I wonder if those are going to be the 7s. So I'm going to change tools here. That should be the 7. Yep. And yep. come. I'm going to put these in the, there's a coin tray over here. Put all my bolts in that coin tray. And then once those bolts are out, let's see, I'm going to have to turn the ignition on. And let's move the ignition. And turn that back off. So now I know that this little cup, this holder needs to come out. I'll just throw it, I'll shut down 4-volt guns. And then we need to go ahead and take this center console thing out. So I'm going to try to get the center console thing out. And how we're going to do that is we're going to start prying it from here. There's little clips on there. And you got to be careful. You don't want to bust the clips, but there we go. Once it's started, they're good. You got to pry out that chrome ring. And I'm going to clean up all this stuff because this is a mess. But we got the chrome ring out from there, and then we got this whole center console thing is going to come off. So this will give us a good time to clean up. You know, clean up this mess because it's there we go. So there's that out of the center console, and then I think we can start getting this out. Old. I do think I gotta take the rest of this out. That's right. And I gotta unplug that cigarette lighter, which it's I know that's just a push plug on the back of that lighter. Yeah, there it is. I just got to get that to disengage. There we go. So there's a push plug that goes in the cigarette lighter there. So now that's out. Now it looks like I've got 2 more bolts down here, and it looks like a Phillips screw. So I'm going to take that Phillips screw out. Probably should bring my light in here. Hopefully y'all can see down here. We've got 2, they look like 7mm, and then we have this Phillips head down here, which I'm going to try and get on here with my driver to get this Phillips out first. So I got a long bit in there, so maybe I can reach that Phillips head or not. I might need a smaller screwdriver, smaller Phillips head. I'm not going to be able to get that out of there with that. I'm going to need a smaller Phillips. Found a really short screwdriver. You need a really short screwdriver to get in there. That screw is really, really hard to get to. But there it is, small Phillips. Really, really small Phillips head. And I use this short little driver to get to it. Put that in the cup. And then now let's try to get these 7mm out. We'll try and get these out. See if I can maneuver this in here. With this extension, yeah, I can get pretty much right on it. Yep. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Yep, there's that one. So that should be the last of those. So that should be the infotainment center should pop on out of there. Where's the tool? Oh, there it is. You got 2 last clips here in the bottom that looks like they need to pop. There we go. There we go. And then out comes the infotainment center. And then, so here we are back in behind the infotainment center. These are the plugs we got to unplug. I'm sure this goes to the display. And it looks like there we go. And then we got these plugs here, which looks like there's a bunch of crap on these plugs. That one had a squeeze thing right here. That one has a squeeze thing right there. And then this one looks like there's a squeeze thing on the other side. It's kind of hard to get out. Oh, I see it. I see it now. It's on the bottom. She's going to come now. There we go. So that's it. There's the old infotainment center out of there. And then here are two of our plugs. That's the cigarette lighter plug. This is a cigarette lighter plug here. These are two of the plugs that came out of the infotainment center. There's a third. Now we're going to have to remove the stereo module. So stereo module, we have these four. To remove the stereo module, we got these four 7mm. So I'm going to put the camera back on the tripod and do that. So I'm going to have to clean all this up, you know, before we put the new one in. Put those in the ashtray. And then this whole stereo module, the old stereo module, should pop out. And then in the back we have, you know, I don't know if that's the antenna. Or if that's the antenna. I think that's the antenna. And then we have these two plugs here in the back, which they're just pinch release plugs. I'm going to have a tab to get them release, and that's it. So there's the old stereo module. And that's, you know, Ford's factory module. I read online that this thing does not work with the Sony. This infotainment center off Amazon does not work with the Sony. So, you know, this is basically trash now. So we'll set it out there. Now, we do have to harvest some stuff off the old system that we're going to reuse on the new one. And this bottom plug, we have to harvest it. So there's two clips here on the side. I'll try and get some light on this subject here and show you. These two clips here on the side, you just pinch them and push that out. And that's going to be our, you know, the traction control system off mode. That's the only option that's on this car. And that was one of those wiring harnesses down there. We're going to need to put that on the new infotainment center. And then we're going to need to get our HVAC controls here. This whole control module is going to pull out. And what's holding it on, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 T20s that I can see. So we're going to use my long extension. This is way overkill for an extension for my driver, but this is called Tom don't like using screwdrivers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and she's loose. So that's our HVAC module that we need to put into the new unit. I'm going to have to clean all this off. So that basically all gets disposed of. We're not going to use any of this. The stereo has been replaced by the new thing. This screen will be reused, but it'll get minimal use. I think it just says Ford Fusion, and that's about it. But that's it. So we're done taking the old stuff out. Let's go in with the new. But we're going to clean all this up first. First thing we're going to do is add our HVAC module into it, which, you know, the HVAC module is here. And it's going to get added into it just like that. And we have these T20 screws, which I'm going to be gentle going in with this driver. As soon as it clicked, that's enough. And I'm not going to, you know, impact drive these things because we're going into plastic. And I don't want to break anything. So I'm just trying to. That's it. Dropped a screw. It's not catching. There it goes. Caught that time. It's a bit of a long extension there, but you know, I mean, it's working, but I'm having to use that long extension because my short one won't. The last one didn't want to go. But there you go. There's that. Now you gotta remember, then we snap our traction control system in there. Oops, sorry, that's got to go in from the outside. That's our traction control system module. So there we have all that in place, and drying all that. So there we go. So, and then the Ford Fusion thing is going to appear, you know, in the background on this when it gets all put in there. So now I have to work on the wiring harnesses. So the kit came with all the wiring harnesses I showed you at the beginning of the video, and I'm pretty sure this is the sucker we need. And there's an instruction manual, by the way. That's like a antenna extender or something. I'm pretty sure this is the wiring harness we need right here. And at any rate, you know, this plug, I believe, plugs in here like that. And then this plug plugs in here like that. That will plug into the, this is the antenna, that will actually plug into the actual antenna portion. I'm not sure what this wire is. I'm going to have to look that up. This, I think, goes to the TV screen up here. I know this adapter is needed somehow. This adapter is needed for, or I think, our remaining stereo plug. There's that plugged in there. That's for the TV, which is not going to get used. This is going to plug into the new infotainment center in the back of the stereo receiver. Here, the antenna. And then that's the GPS. The main plug for our mess is going to go right there on the power plug. And then the antenna, there's got to be a way that this comes off too. Because I need this to go down into that port there. Bada bing, we've got power. Don't have an antenna hooked up yet, but there we obviously have power. You see the touchscreen works. So I just need to figure out how to get that antenna on there, but you kind of see how all this is going to look. A lot different than it used to be. That's pretty slick. Alright, so the antenna adapter for the radio antenna is right here, and you got to use that antenna adapter to plug into the existing Ford stereo, and then it plugs into this receptacle. So I'm going to have to do some modifications on that, where I was trying to modify that one to fit in there. But at any rate, now I'm working on my backup camera. So the backup camera goes into, right now I'm running temporarily my backup camera wire about where it's going to go to the back. You know, it's through the passenger area there into the trunk, and then we're back here in the trunk working now. I'm an electronics guy. I solder instead of just T-tab connectors, like you know, trailer tab connectors where you tap it in with a trailer tab, a T-tap. I don't use taps. I was going to go ahead and cut our wires and solder. So I've already got the backup lights pulled out, and the green is positive and the black is negative on there. This is my backup light sensor. So when this light turns on, it's going to give power to our camera through these two wires. These two wires, the black and red, are going to hook into the red's going to hook into the green, the black's going to hook into the black, and then these hook into a plug here that plugs into the camera fixture, and then here's the camera wire that goes all the way to our camera, which is here. This is the camera, and the camera we're going to mount, you know, we're going to route those wires here up through this wire loom. Hopefully I can get it through that wire loom. I'm going to try to pull it through that wire loom, and then I'm going to disconnect all this stuff here in the trunk and pull out these tabs so I can get access to here. So this is, you know, over the license plate. These are the two license plate lights. What I'm hoping is we're going to be able to mount it right here. We'll mount that camera right here and run the wire in underneath it. So, but first things first, I got to tap into this wire here, and I'm going to set up and do that now. So, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut these wires, leaving enough to strip. And this looks like 28 gauge, so I'm going to strip. I'm going to strip a little bit more than that. Might be 24 gauge. And then I'm going to twist those together. And then my existing wires here, I'll go ahead and strip down. Look like 24 gauge. 24 gauge. And then hoping that's going to be long enough to get should be long enough. So it's going to go here, and then here. That should be long enough. Okay. So now we're gonna, of course, it's going to start raining now, right? So just cut those two wires, separate them, blah blah blah, and then these look like 28. This is a lot thinner. Yep. 28. Twisting those wires together there. And then here's what we're going to do. We're going to go red wire onto green wire here. We're going to twist them together. Just like that. And then we're going to go black wire onto black wire. And twist them together. Just like that. Now we're going to dip these in a little bit of flux. Come on, Rain, just give me 5 more minutes. Killing me. Now I'm going to pretend, well, I'm actually going to solidify these wires, so I'm putting a little bit of solder on my iron there. Normally I run the solder to the wire, but in this case I'm just putting solder on my iron to get these things melded together because I'm trying to beat the rain. But there's the power wires for our camera soldered onto the car wire cameras. So now I have to solder that onto these. Now I've got to put some wire shrink over these, so once I solder them I'll be able to shrink wrap the connections, so make sure this can get up over that. Oh, that's a little bit too small. Let's try that one. I bet that one will go over. Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces of shrink. I'm going to put them over our wires that go to the backup right there. I didn't bring my helping hand, so I'm going to have to figure this out. Put these in flux. And then we're going to pretend these wires here. Clean off my iron here. Get some solder on my iron. I don't know if I kept those in flux or not. Thought I did. Alright, now those wires are pre-tinned. I'm hoping you guys are going to be seeing all this. Those wires are pre-tinned now. We're going to join our black wires, black to black, red to red. Just did a butt joint there. Going to do the same thing over here. Green back to green. Of course, you're going to be difficult, right? This is where I need my helping hand. Kind of half-ass helping hands here with hemostats. Hopefully y'all are going to see this. Trying to stay out of the way. That's hot. Okay. I'll bring my shrink wrap over the joint. Shrink wrap over that joint. I'm going to heat shrink my joints. Like that. Bada bing. I'm going to plug that sucker back in, right? Go. Alright, so now let's put our camera, let's put it like on the back bumper now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because I zoomed in. So I've got my camera just sitting right here on the back bumper, and now we're going to go inside and test and see if this works. Alright, so here's the GPS antenna, which is going to screw into there. And then I think I'm going to put the GPS up in the upper glove box. And then in the GPS bag was this wiring harness with the video out that I've got plugged into my camera. And this goes right here, right next to our radio antenna, and plugs in just like that. And that's going to, this one that's closest to our radio antenna, that is our backup camera. Standby. Alright, so this is going to be a test of our backup camera. And keep in mind it's probably going to be upside down, which it is. Our backup camera is upside down because of the way I have it sitting on the bumper. But the backup camera does work when we put it in reverse. When we're back in the park, we're back on our normal stuff. By the way, I think this is where I'm going to put the GPS camera. And I'll mount the wire down through here into our infotainment center. So I'm going to put the GPS camera up there where it has. Alright, so now had to move the car in the garage because of the rain. But basically, we're going to be taking off some of these clips, but up on this side, so I can get to the license plate holder. I also have to remove this handle. This handle looks like it's held on with two, I don't know, T30 or something. I'm going to get that, figure that out. Get my security bit kit over here, and looks like maybe T30. Nope. T27. Let me get my bit holder and make life easier here. Try T27. Oh yeah. T27, bada bing. So put my driver in reverse. There's one T27. There's the other one. Bada bing. That was it. Those two T27 screws holding that in. That handle. We'll keep those with the handle. That was T27. Alright, so now we got these. How they work is you just pull them out. I don't have the appropriate puller tool, so I just use what I got, you know. Which is basically a cat's paw for carpentry. pulling those out. Hopefully we don't break these so we can reuse them. I just need to get a couple of them out so I can gain access to the trunk deck lid here, so we can route our wires and mount our backup camera. Now, the video I saw, he kind of took most of the rear of the trim panel apart so he could get to the, yeah, he took all this apart back in here to route his wires, and I'm thinking there's got to be a better way. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe he couldn't run the wires through the backup lights. I guess I need to take one of those backup lights out of there and see what we're dealing with. But I might be able to run the wires through the backup light wire place. Of course, I'm going to mount the camera right here. I already know that the camera is going to be mounted. Let me unplug the camera so you can see what we got to deal with. Of course, I've got to get all this through the hole that I make. Now I can feed those through one at a time, you know, and get those through the hole one at a time. But then I have to get this through the hole. So our hole is going to have to be big enough to get all that through. You know, I guess that's why he took that trim piece out. I'm really hoping to avoid that. I really don't want to have to take all that out, but I may end up having to take all that out, or at least loosen it, you know. And what I'm talking about is this whole trim piece here that has the brake light in it, loosening it out, pulling it out, so then that allows the wire to eke through there. But I'd rather, you know, drill a hole down through here to get all this wire up through in the center. Yeah, I may take all that out. It just may make life easier. Basically, I did the same thing I saw in this other video. I loosened all these bolts. The silver ones are 10 millimeters. The black ones are 11, but I don't have an 11 socket, so I had to use a 7/16 to get them out. And also, I had to use vice grips to hold on to the actual bolt itself, because the bolt was turning. So then I had to grab a wrench, a 7/16 open-end wrench, and loosen those with a 7/16 open-end wrench. Now, the reason I had to do that, I'll try to show you. This trim piece here, you know, I want to get it loose enough so that, you know, I can sneak my wires down in there, and you know, I think now we'll be able to do it. I'm going to get my trim removal tool. Okay, so once I got all those bolts loosened up here to loosen that trim piece, and I've pried out this trim piece, you know, with my trim pry tool, and you can see I have a pretty substantial gap back here. I'm hoping you'll be able to see it. I'm going to stick my fingers through there. Right there. Hopefully y'all can see my finger wiggling. My finger wiggling right there. That's where I'm going to sneak my wires for the camera in through. And here's the camera. And I'm going to sneak my wires in through there. That's a big enough sneak. And then my camera's going to mount right there, just like that. And you know, I'll try to make sure we get it in the center. And I'm going to go ahead and get the mounting kit for it now. And we're going to pre-drill. We're going to mark, we're going to pre-drill, and then we are going to mount our camera. So here's the camera mounting kit. And looks like we have a, you know, an anti-vibration double-sided tape along with these two stainless screws that are in the camera mounting kit. And these stainless screws are pretty small. So I think the pilot hole that I drill will be very small. think we're going to drill a 3/32 pilot hole. Looks like it should be enough for those. So I'm going to put a 3/32 in my drill. Alright, we got 3/32. Now I need to get my dimple marker. And we're going to put the camera where we want it in here, which I'm trying. That's what we're working with. And the camera's going to mount. We want it to be out of the sun, so we're going to mount it as low as we can. I'm thinking right there. Now we got those holes drilled. They're going to open our mounting kit. And these stainless screws are going to be brittle, so I'm going to hand drive them. I'm not going to drive them with a driver. I'm going to take that double-sided tape and use it. That'll also be dampening for the camera. Okay. Now, double-sided tape. I'm going to put it on the camera. I guess I got to knock out these holes. This looks like love. Alright. And then we're going to take our screwdriver . Voila. Now it's just tighten all these bolts back up, and you know, we're going to be done with that. Alright, trims pop back on. Now let's tighten these bolts up. Sweetness. Good. Alright, now these other ones are smaller there. Oh, I I think they're 10 millimeter, 11 millimeter. The silver ones. Okay, now there we go. There's all that back together. Our backup camera is installed. The wire is hidden, and now we've got to route these wires. I'm going to electrical tape that, cut that wire, and I'm going to electrical tape over that joint to hold the video cable together, just like that. And then I'm going to electrical tape over this one. Which is our power wire, which goes to our backup light that we hacked into with the soldering iron. That's our power wire for the camera. And we're going to electrical tape that. And then I think I'm going to secure all this with a zip tie. Because now we're going to start neatening all this stuff up, right? I'm going to secure this with a zip tie. There maybe? Yeah. Just like that. And then there. Those wires are going to be good. I'm going to get as much slack as I can out here. And as much slack as I can out there. I think we should be good. We'll check. We'll triple check everything in a minute before I start zip tying everything. But right now, I think we need to start putting all this back together. So let's start putting all of these back together. These just push in, you know. Push right in, and I didn't break any of them because it's hotter than Hades here in North Carolina. There goes the clips back in. Now we get a handle back on. Try and hand screw them in there to get them started, so don't push that stupid thing out. Because the screw mount is like loose. Screw. See if we can at least get them started right. This one was a pain in the butt, that handle. Came out easy. Go in there. That was a pain in the butt. Alright, put those clips back in. So we're pretty good there now. Wires going underneath that trim piece. Just like that. And push it in there. And make sure it's totally in under there so it doesn't short out. You're not going to be able to see this, but now I'm down around the driver's seat area. So basically like prying out the trim piece and tucking the wire up and underneath of it. You kind of get the idea, hopefully. Alright, so now we have a bunch of spare wire here. So I think I'm going to take this spare wire and I think I'm going to zip tie all this spare wire together. Let me turn on the air conditioning. It's hot as hell. We got like a hurricane or a tropical storm or something forming right here off our coast. It's been raining all weekend. Kind of screwed up my plans because I, really wanted to get all this done for Ella. But there is that. So now I should be able to take our camera and plug our camera in, and I think I'm gonna zip tie this wire loom onto one of our other wire looms, right? That would kind of keep all this stuff together. All right, now I need to deal with that. So my antenna wire I got to reroute because it really needs to go up and over, and I'm going to have to fix that. So there's our antenna. Now I've got to fix all this. Having to make kind of a homemade coaxial connection here because I messed up and didn't know that there was this adapter, so it's my bad. It'll be homemade. Let's start the car. And I'm gonna put this up there like that. I'm gonna grab the camera here.
EU. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill. The area's most trusted name in heating.
Alright, so now we're gonna put it in reverse and see if our backup camera works. Bada bing, our backup camera is working. Looks like I need to angle it down a little bit, but it's working. That's cool. I just need to angle it down. But other than that, it's working. So, turn off all that. And I don't know if I got the air conditioning on. Yeah, let's turn the air conditioning on because it's hot. And hopefully that'll keep that tone when you guys are still going there. So now, next, I'm gonna clean up my antenna disaster. You heard it worked. This is not ideal, but I really screwed up that coaxial connector that was on there. If I'd have just left the connector that was on there alone, it would have been just fine. But I've already tested this the way I had to do that connection, and it works just fine because I broke the connector that was on there. Broke the shit out of it. But we've got 3 more wires to run. So this infotainment center has an optional 2 USB outs, which are going to plug in here and here. Here they are. And they'll plug in here and here. Those are our USB outs. I'm going to bring them up into the upper glove box up here. But also remember, we've got to, we've got to come down through there with the hole for the GPS antenna. Now, remember, there's a rubber mat that lies in here that covers everything up. So what I'm going to try to do is find a place where I can drill a hole. And I think I'm going to drill a hole right here. It'll be under the mat, and we'll never see it. And then I'm going to 3D print a thing, which I haven't done yet, for the 2 USB ports. What I'll do is I'll, stack them like that, and I'll 3D print a plastic case to go around them. And then I'll melt the case down to that rubber, and then that way Ella's got 2 USB ports in her glove box. She can plug phone chargers. She can plug phone chargers into and everything. But I've got to drill a hole to get these plugs and this plug down through this upper glove box, so I can have those wires routed. So right now, what I'm going to do is put a big bit that I've already measured that's big enough for both of those into my drill, and we're going to drill that hole. And I'm trying to get y'all on the subject here. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see it or not, but it's going to be right in that upper glove box. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not going to hit anything crazy
This is ill advised. Should just take this thing out, but ooh, we're through. So now what I'm hoping is we can get that GPS cord down through there. I'm going to end up having to take this damn thing out.
Slight change of plan. Instead of going up through the glove box with my USB, I went ahead and bought this. This is basically like a cigarette lighter replacement. It's got the male USBs that plug into our females that are coming off the infotainment center. And this will act as our USB interface, and it'll be in lieu of the cigarette lighter. So I've decided to install this instead of run the USBs up through the upper glove box. So this is going into the cigarette lighter port, and then the female USBs that come out of the infotainment center, these males will plug into that, and then that'll give you, you'll have 2 USB ports, and there's like a cool blue light. Got this on Amazon for like $5 or something. It was cheap, but that's going in, and that'll be sweet. So there's the installed USB plugs. So I ran the USBs down from the infotainment center into that, what was the cigarette lighter, and now that's replaced the cigarette lighter, which that's more convenient for her anyway. And you can see it's got that little blue light on there, which is cool. It definitely looks, the car is definitely a lot more futuristic. If I go to my home screen here, and then I can go to my tuner, and I don't want to get a copyright strike here, but the tuner works good. And then we can also go to our home screen, and then like if you want this to go to Apple CarPlay, and by the way, I did connect the steering wheel controls, but if you want this to go to Apple CarPlay, you go to this and you go to Z-Links, and then you connect with your phone while you're in this Z-Links, and that'll give you Apple CarPlay. Stand by, I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so now it's connecting to my phone with this Z-Links. There you have it. So now it's connected to my phone. So if I click on my phone, you have my contacts, and you click on Maps. You also have my Google Player, and then you can also go to these different interfaces where you have your Maps and your your player, and then you also have your phone, which there's a picture of me and my wife, and that's actually my phone background, so that's pretty cool. But I go to my home screen, and also this from miles per hour to, or it's actually kilometers per hour. You just 1 second hold on that. See, now it's kilometers an hour. Now it's miles per hour. So that's pretty cool. But at any rate, the infotainment center and the USB cord, down there, all this turned out really, really, really nice for Ella. And there is the GPS that I did run up through the glove box. The hard part here, and I didn't show it on the video, but there's actually like a crash retention wire in this whole console, and the screw is this way in it, and the wire's really tight, and you can't get that out of there. It's about impossible. I mean, you can get it, but I certainly couldn't film it. But that's the conclusion of the video. I think it was a nice little project. It came out great. Alright, this is the last step in the christening of Ella's car. Go ahead. Oh, shiny. Shiny. Thank you everybody for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,